Hi, welcome to the HR Happy Hour work break. It is Trish and Steve, and I'm looking here. It is 3 p.m. my time, and I have to tell you, Steve Bose, I have not even had lunch yet today.
What? That's
No
awful.
lunch. I know. It's like, so I'm definitely in need of a work break.
Yes, you are.
Absolutely.
May the fourth be with you, Trish.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Happy 4th. You know, this is a big week, right? It's may the 4th be with you, right? And tomorrow, Cinco de Mayo, huge. And then also on the 6th, Cinco de Wempen, in honor of Brian Wempen, for anyone out there in the Twitterverse in
That
HR.
is an old school reference.
That is an old, you know what? It's funny. I've celebrated that every day for like the last 11 years. So
Nice.
there's something to it. If you're not familiar with Cinco de Wempen, you can absolutely check on the Twitter stream in 2 days and we will tell you all about it. But anyway, fun way to celebrate a really good friend of ours, Brian Wempen, and special shout out to him. I also, you know what, can I tell you what I've been up to today before we
Sure.
we're going to talk about who knows what, but so this is not like a sponsored plug, but I'm drinking out of one of my favorite cups here. Whoa, where are we?
Yeah, bring it that way. There you go.
This way, from SAP Ariba. And I'm really interested in what they're doing right now because you know they deal with procurement and supply chain management as a solution, and obviously right now with just all of the things that have been in short supply at our stores, and just I think there's so much more focus right now on supply chain and on procurement, and so I've been just seeing a lot of webinars coming up. I know I'm doing one in just a couple days, not where I'm a participant. I'm going to be a participant in one. So anyway, just a shout out to my friends at SAP.
I've probably read more supply chain related articles in the last few weeks than I had in 5 years, probably. And
that's the
has
point.
been kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I just felt like they're just good people. They actually, it's funny, this mug they sent me was from an event they did about a month ago, which was Ariba Live, but it was one I was going to get to go to for the first time in person. And then of course with the coronavirus that changed all of that. So anyway, just something that's been on my mind today. Also on my mind, I heard a very interesting thing and I wanted to see what your thoughts were on this.
Okay.
People are kind of struggling with the idea of time, like the time has far less meaning now than it did a month or two ago as we were at work, right? So you lose track of time. At least I feel like I'm losing track of time. I'm not feeling like there's as much division, even at working from home. We talked the other day about like there's working from home and there's working from home during a pandemic. So I read a really interesting suggestion that someone made and wanted to see your take on it. So he was saying that in order to sort of prepare his mind mentally for work, he goes out and does a fake commute now. Because commuting to work is when a lot of people listen to podcasts. Sure. They might, be taking a few phone calls, kind of preparing for their day, or just, again, listening to some meditation or whatever they do to prepare. And so without that, people are struggling with kind of delineating work time at home from home time with your family. And again, there's a lot of blend. His idea was even if you go and jog right around your subdivision for a few minutes, and that's your new commute. What do you think about that idea? I hadn't heard anyone suggest sort of.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, and I think it's a good idea. I think the commute and the commuting time, I think we'll look back on it and now realize the commute is an underrated component of kind of an effective approach to work-life balance, right? Because that's your transition time, right, between your work and your home. And without that transition time in place, and work and life has been blending like crazy anyway for the last, decade or so, or maybe 15 years, ever since we kind of had smartphones and laptops, and maybe longer. That delineation, like I was kind of unreachable by work, even though you still were in your car, but that was where you kind of had a little personal time, maybe a little, honestly, Trish, for people, and I know we've talked about this as well, a little me time, a little, before you're getting, either you're going to work and all your colleagues are there, or you're coming home and your family and your kids and your dogs, whatever you're dealing with at home, but carving out those half an hour each way, whatever it was, of a bit of me time also I think was important. And folks who perhaps are missing or struggling a little bit with that too, because we're all sort of cooped up together.
I agree. So anyway, thanking you. And he also mentioned to not only take it in the morning, but take it in the afternoon as well. That sort of like ends your day as well with some of that me time, just to decompress. So again, maybe even if you're not able to leave your home, but it's taking a few minutes away from where you were before you sort of rejoin your family. I apologize. I don't know if anyone can hear. My poor little puppy is like sneezing next to me. Marco, come here, buddy. Did I show Marco on my, come here, honey. Come here. You want to be famous? Here. This is Marco Polo.
Wow. How about that?
Isn't he cute? So he is very, very, oh my gosh, I just kissed him and got lipstick on him. He is very old. He's very old and he's blind, and his name is Marco Polo. And the funny thing is we did not name him, obviously, after he was blind, but interesting to have a dog named Marco Polo that's blind when you think about like the game that you play in the pool, right, where you're not looking. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, that's the dog.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking about today? I know I've kind of dominated the first part.
Well, when you mentioned time, I thought of one weird thing, which was for some reason I'd stumbled on this unrelated to this conversation, but I've been reading a book, or actually rereading it, to be fair, and the book is kind of positing what will we think about, or what will people 400 or 500 years think about when they look back on our era or this era, or what we consider to be the present. So the concept of the book, or the conceit of the book, is thinking about the present as if it were the past, right? So what will be when people, historians or philosophers, or just people who want cultural anthropologists, say, if they're still around, look back on our era and examine things like our literature, our television, our work and our work cultures and things like that, what will they look at? What will they say? What will be remembered, right? And I find that it's kind of a fascinating way to think about it, right? And part of that book, though, they talk a little bit about time as well. So you mentioned time at the top of the show, so I've been thinking about it, and this idea that what if we're, and the other sort of element of this book is maybe we're not always right about things. And a great example is, like, we thought the universe worked a certain way, right? Everything revolved around the earth, and maybe came from Aristotle or something like that. And for thousands of years, everybody on earth thought all the planets revolved around the earth. And then along comes Newton and whoever else, right? And describes actually how the universe works, or at least our little solar system works. And now we all believe that. But that's only been, like, in cosmic terms, a relatively short amount of time, right? It's only been 400 or 500 years that we think we've understood the solar system, and we were wrong for like thousands of years. So it's interesting to think, like, what other things could we be wrong about that we're so sure we're right about, and eventually one day we'll figure out that we're wrong about it. I don't know why I find that interesting, but time is one of those things, right? We sort of think time is linear, and it goes, and we understand the passage of time, and we count it, we have clocks. But even Einstein proved, about 100 years ago, maybe a little bit less, about 100 years ago or so, that about time is not an absolute. Time is relative, right? Even time is relative. And, according to his special, I wrote it down because I'm interested in this. According to Einstein's special relativity theory, the faster you move through space, the slower you move through time, right? That's also the basis for a lot of really cool science fiction movies as well. So I'm thinking, what else could we be wrong about? And spin it back to what we do, right? We're on work, the workplace, HR technology. Maybe the pandemic is making us think about that too. We're going to reevaluate lots of things: the way we work, the way we collaborate, the way we serve our customers, the way we lead, right? Mm-hmm. What were we wrong about, or maybe not completely correct about, for hundreds and hundreds, or maybe even dozens of years, that we're going to rethink, and we're going to find out at the end of all this, hey, we were actually wrong about that. And here's the better way to do things. I'm really interested in that, and I'm interested how that's going to play out in the next couple of years, I guess I'd say.
Yeah, I think you're making great points. It's probably one of those things. Again, it's such an odd disruption to happen to all of us simultaneously globally, which is maybe the benefit of it, if there are any benefits, right? That we can sort of take this time to pause and reevaluate how we do handle time and different measures for things of importance, whether that's, again, a lot was measured on how productive are people in a certain amount of time, right? It all kind of ties back to time that we spend at work. And so maybe we'll think differently. One thing I'll share, I think I tweeted it out. It was actually something I saw earlier today, and it's a really cool video. I'll have to share it with you too, because it's talking about kind of someone forward in time, like quite a few years, who's looking back on the year 2020. And it hit me. They were calling it, like hindsight is 2020. And they were
right, that old phrase, yeah.
The virus of 2020 is what, like, everything starts from this point, which when you really start thinking about that is such a cool concept. Like, what if everything new and good and wonderful and different, like, it was kind of talking about like everything pre-2020 was, just us being abusive to our planet, and it's just things like that, and abusive to ourselves and to our family relationships and things like that, and that it took 2020, hindsight 2020, to kind of get it back. So I won't give too much away, but I will share that along with this recording. So anyway, I think that's probably it for now, right? We've talked for about 10 minutes. I'm looking at the time.
It's all relative, Trish.
I will say this: my stomach is telling me it is time to eat, because I have not had.
Yes.
I guess, you know what? My question for anybody out there watching or listening is: are you finding that you are taking better care of yourself, like in terms of eating a good breakfast, lunch, dinner, or like with the working from home now, or is it worse? Because I feel like for me, when I'm here, I don't take care of myself. Like, I get lost in work, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's 3:00 and I haven't done anything for me. So I probably,
that's a great thing. That's a great question. Maybe it's a topic we can take on later this week and talk about ways to sort of take care of yourself better or look after yourself better, right? Going through work from home. Yeah. Cool.
All right. Good stuff. Well, thanks for everyone who's listening. And we're on episode number 5.
Cool.
And the response has been tremendous. I mean, if you had told me it was going to be like this. So I think, again, we're loving all the comments. Please send us, tweets, direct messages, private messages on Facebook, whatever your selected method is. I know people are watching on a lot of different platforms, and we're just grateful for all of you and look forward to talking to you tomorrow.
All right.
Cool. Happy hour work break.